Yeah. Yes, definitely after we talk about that. All right. All right. Well, today we're gonna be talking about the GSNR. Last time we kind of touched on the business planning. Has anyone had a business planning session with their DA? Any of the three of you do it yet?
No.
Well,
I started the conversation.
I'm glad what I said resonated so well that you guys jumped right on it.
We left an incredible impact, Joe.
Yeah. So, well, don't wait too long on that. I know your DA is pretty new, Christina. Your DA's been around a while, right, Josh?
Great. Would you like to?
Well, Nate is not fully like he's leaving. Yeah, he's got to go back to Best Buy. Oh yeah.
Oh, okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah. Lost her back in March, man.
And Nate's an
So I had to hire old knucklehead over here.
You have an OM?
Yeah.
All right. So like both of you guys are going to be hitting it hard, then, right?
Oh yeah.
Yeah. All right. So Jim, you just hired your DA. So
right.
If you need help with that planning session, let me know. But I wouldn't wait too long before you get it started.
All right. Yeah, I will.
All right. So kind of talked about sales culture last time. I'm just going to kind of just cruise through this real quick. We focused on the the elements of creating a sales culture, and the business planning and GSNR are part of the infrastructure. Okay. So this is the accelerator version, Josh, like just for you, okay, buddy? All right. So the infrastructure and building your sales culture, it really starts with the business plan and the GSNR and the ride-alongs and all that. Okay, so we're going to focus in on the GSNR. Okay, so quiz time. What does GSNR stand for? All right. Anybody want to guess on that one? Josh, what are you doing in my screen here? You're too high. You Best Buy guys are too high tech, man.
I didn't even know that was going to do that, dude. I was like, is this going to work? Goal set and review.
Yes, it is. Goal set and review. All right. You get the gold star here, Josh. All right. So what are some key elements? Now Christina's going to do it too. She's already in there. All right. What are some key elements of the GSNR? Don't get distracted by the shiny coin, okay, Christina? Stay with me, all right?
That's my fault. Squirrel.
All right. So, what are some key elements of the GSNR? I'm kind of exposing the answers here. It's a weekly check-in. You want to keep these things relatively short. Oh God.
Yeah.
Josh, I hate you for this.
Thanks, Josh.
And Jim's an Ohio State guy too, so he's loving this too. All right.
I remember that from the last call.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Right, so their DA, I've lost my train of thought, Grant. I need you to take over. I've lost all my. All right. You don't want them too long, 30 to 45 minutes in length. DA led. You want them leading the way on this, and you're kind of steering the rudder. Now, Josh, Nate's an owner, so I don't even know if this really, it's going to apply to you. It's hard to talk over Nate. He's pretty energetic, so good luck.
Well, I mean, we still, regardless, we'll still, have these conversations because, the other part of this is going to be that, we're like part of our plans to add another DA, sometime in Q4.
Okay.
And, since Nate will be effectively overseeing the sales portion of the business, it's just good for exposure and to get that kind of habit forming behavior or a procedure rather, kind of locked into place.
Having gone through it too will help them for sure. All right.
Yeah.
Now basically, it's a quick goal review, on hit or miss from the previous week, and then you're setting current goals for the week that's coming up and coming up with a plan that's going to help you get those goals, action steps to realize those goals that you're setting for the week. And then, if trainings, ride-alongs, or some kind of training events required, you want to set that up as part of the GSNR as well. All right, so is this going to be on every screen going forward? Good God. All right, so the steps, so like the outline of the GSNR, prep's a big part of it, and we'll talk more about that. A quick transfer in, 5 minutes or less, just something like to get the conversation flowing. You want to go over those VTOs and rocks from the business plan that we talked about last time. This is a quick review, and then a scorecard review. And we're going to go over Power BI and some of the tools at your disposal for like reviewing the scorecards on your DAs. If there's a verse plan report in there, there's MIS reports that are specific to the DAs as well. Even a lead source distribution report that's like specific to your DA as far as their connect leads and all that stuff. And then most of the meetings is really dedicated towards problem solving, like whatever comes up in this conversation, like if it's close rate, you're brainstorming on how to solve those problems. Right? Or if it's connect leads, like whatever it is, most of it is around forward thinking, solving problems. You're going to spend 15 or 20 minutes talking about the past, but most of it is problem solving. And then a quick recap, just to make sure everyone's on the same page. All right, so we're going to work through these steps here real quick. Grant, I want you to erase that Go Buckeyes thing. I figure it out, okay?
I'm enjoying it too much to try to figure it out. So
All right, okay. It's part of the prep. Like your DA's got some prep, okay? Now let's kind of talk through these things. We're going to talk about the GSNR template. They want to update like the current information in that template prior to your conversation. Like you don't want to waste time, populate and feel. It should all be filled out by your DA, and they're going to be leading the conversation hopefully as well. The DA's got to review in Power BI like where they are in the plan since the last time you met. All that data is there for them. They should know their numbers, so to speak. All right, and they will have access to all that in Power BI as well. Wins and opportunities. What they feel like they should be working on. In advance in the current week. And hopefully, what they're putting down for that is something that's aligned with what you're thinking as well. And they want to send a completed template over to you prior to the meeting. Okay. And then your prep is going to be like to review that prep to make sure, like if your DA is way off the mark on what they want to work on, you need to know that going into the meeting prior to, so like you can prepare for that basically, steer the conversation accordingly. And then you want to know their numbers as well. Just kind of obvious stuff here, but like just take 5-10 minutes and prep for these things, because like you'll get a lot more out of them than if you're kind of flying by the seat of your pants. Okay, sort of like the Ohio State defense. There's no real game plan there. They just rely on their offense to like produce touchdowns. That's their defensive game plan. So you want to have a better plan than that. All right?
Whatever it takes to win.
All right. So we're gonna dig into the template here. It's on the business plan tool, but this is what we're going to be looking at. Now, so on the transfer in, why do you think we do it? Why is it important to allot 5 minutes to transfer in?
So you can abuse Penn State fans?
That's one reason. And then, how about another reason, Josh? Like, why would you want to spend 5 minutes kind of easing into the GSNR with a transfer in? And I'm giving you the answers here.
Break that, yeah, just, yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Just warm up.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, Grant, you want to chime in here? I mean, you're pretty good about it when we do our meetings. Like, you always like really think through this part of the meeting. I kind of learned that from you a little bit.
I think it's important, guys, and this is more of a macro thought, but I think it's something to think about implementing into all your GSNR, sort of models and the way that you're going to run meetings. Your DA, is there obviously with an objectives and goals and needs to be accountable to things. But they also, they're a person first and foremost. They're a valuable part of your team. You want to gain some insight into what they have going on, not only as part of their role with you, but maybe sort of just in their life. If they've got stuff that's, going on, then you need to be aware of it. It's only going to help you be that much more insightful. Maybe they have, some questions, just theoretical things that they, that might come up later in the meeting. But if it's something you can just early, get started on and say, hey, before we get started here, like, is there anything that's just been noodling around in your mind that you had been meaning to ask me and maybe you lost your thought or you got busy? So it's just a good time to kind of take a half step back, talk to the person before the DA. You're going to get into the meat and bones of the DA part, right? But just always remember that, these people are really, really valuable parts of your team. And, it's just very, very healthy that, there's an interpersonal component to the GSNR that's not all just let's dig into numbers and, kind of drill into all that too, right? I think it's just important. Always be mindful of that. And that's a good way to do it early on in the meeting. I mean, it could start at 5 minutes and go 10. It's good. That probably means that you guys are digging into some really healthy stuff. So I just a note to always be mindful of that.
All right. And then I'm breaking down like GSNR template here. This was the top section, so these are taken like directly from their business plans. When you do the business plan, like their VTO, their 1 year VTO is, you want to at least visit those and let them tell you, are you on or off track on these? You don't want to go down any rabbit holes here. This is simply either you're on or you're off, what the status, what the issues are, just like 5 minutes here. And then like the quarterly rocks, that you set with them, you just want to like review those as well, like sort of like, like we do with you guys and your like pack groups, momentum groups, et cetera, all that stuff. So it's the same mentality, just brought down to the DA level. Okay. So you're going to spend, I think it was 5 minutes there, on or off on these rocks and VTOs here. And with the scorecard, 10 minutes there. Just let them like review the dashboard, and try and let them identify the gaps, like what their biggest opportunity is, let them speak to their numbers, from left to right on that dashboard. And we'll look at that dashboard here in a second. Like DA leading the conversation. We talked about the preparation, and I'm going to show you another tool out there that'll help you identify the biggest opportunity, the mobile showroom calculator. You've probably seen before, but I've kind of customized it like for the DA, and how it's going to affect their income. So it'll help you prioritize like what the big opportunities are. And whatever those opportunities are, like if you determine its close rate, that's what you set out to solve in the problem solving. Okay. All right. So we're going to play a little game. You ready, Josh and Jim and Christina, if you're there? All right. What's the biggest opportunity with this particular DA right here? So this is the dashboard on the DA verse plan. The business plan, is the second line here, and the actuals are right here. So what do you see as the as an opportunity?
You gotta pack everything up tonight.
Well, I mean, I start kind of looking at this from left to right
Okay.
because as you start on the left side, that it kind of builds up, right? Everything
Right.
on the left impacts each category on the right, as you go down. So, proposals, they're 13 down,
Yep.
based on
You
what
like
the
my
plan
little
was.
special effect there, Josh? Are you
I
impressed with that?
do. I was very, and the timing was very good there too. If we were like doing a live broadcast on that, that would have been a gold star for Joe.
All right. What else you see?
The sale size is low. But I don't know, maybe that's, you're looking at adding rooms or product selection.
Oh, the job size is pretty good. 8,000.
Right.
Oh,
job
sorry,
size.
I was looking at it, I was looking at the reverse. The close rate's good too.
Well, the close
No, the
rate's
close rate's
24.
off.
Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
shit, I'm looking at this backwards. I'm just
Yeah,
gonna go
close rate
back and
too.
call my customer and drop off this.
And the
call.
slippage is off too.
But slippage is kind of tough because like the leads aren't accurate on the DA's plan. So I would ignore slippage on this particular one.
I
On the
I think
branch
that-
one,
I think that's like, if they input like like a referral lead or something, that is associated
exactly.
with them. So that's something that you can largely kind of ignore unless you're looking at
Yeah.
the total branch. But I mean, all in all, for me, it's like, okay, look, like you got 110 grand out, you're only 15K down, right? Your close rate, like, even with the amount of proposals that you have, because your average sale is 1,200 or 2,200 bucks above your target there. If you just impact your close rate, even writing the same amount of proposals there, like you could pick up that, I mean, you get 2 more sales at that average sale right there, and you're hitting your plan. Gross margin is very good. Your gross margin's ahead
Yeah.
of plan right there. In fact, you could even look at that as a possible leverage point of like, hey, look, you got great margin right now. Get a little bit more aggressive to try to close some of those sales that, maybe where folks are a little more price sensitive, So like play according to like where your metrics are
Yeah.
throughout the month, and, learn, like, figure out like which levers to pull there to try to get because the ultimate goal is to get that sales landed on target or
Right.
above target, right? So
Right.
like that's the ultimate end goal.
And like to your point, Josh, like you could let's take a look at show me five of your last appointments that you think you should have or you're still battling for. Maybe try and help them like shred those, and maybe try and give her a reason like to go back and call that customer, but with some kind of improvement or update, because to your point, 1 or 2 jobs is going to get that close rate up there. Okay. It's like another one that I like to look at on the screen that's in emerging, like you guys talk about this all the time and you guys are in emerging, but like an NFDP, like we don't really talk about revenue per proposal a lot. And we're starting to now, obviously, but it's like one way. So like they're off by $15,000 here, right? Well, each proposal is worth $2,000 of this DA. So like if they got, 13, what's 13 times? The 13 proposals shy, that's another 26 grand I could have landed.
26K, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, so that's one way to go at it. Like we need to find you, 1 more proposal a week, because with your revenue per proposal, that's going to get you like to where you want to be, So you're kind of steering this conversation and they're, leading it.
Yeah, other considerations there too are like, you got a really heavy average job size at 82, right? I mean, it's
Yeah.
pretty strong. So I think you start to kind of explore like, hey, so, what about some of these smaller jobs? Are we going hard after those too? Because, our close rate is not great, but our average sale is great. And when you're looking at that, that's a pretty strong indicator that it's at least worth having the conversation and, having some consideration.
Absolutely, absolutely, man. All right,
And to your point, Josh, and it was well made, we've talked to some people who are pretty honest about like when they're really struggling with close rate. But then you ask them what their margins is, and they're proud to sit there and sort of trumpet the fact that their margin is really strong, 47, 48, 49, 50%. Well, that's great on a job per se. If you can do a particular job and land it at that rate, great. But if your close rate is down, your job size is moderate or strong, there probably is an argument to be made that you're guarding margin to the detriment of gaining work. Right, you're guarding margin and it's costing you a close rate percentage. So just be mindful of that, especially as you're coaching your DAs to say, margin's important. We have to have our eyes wide open on it, but let's not guard the margin so hard that it actually costs us 2, 3, 4 points on close rate, especially even on smaller jobs, because that's going to ultimately move the needle on your landed sales, right? Which is the directive. And I think early on, because we preach that and your natural inclination is to make, DAs aware of margin. A lot of times their comp is even, connected to margin, right? In terms of where they're landing jobs. So you have to understand that they're going to have a very protective perception of that. So as part of this GSNR, really an opportunity to use experience and create, sort of some behavior there that isn't so protective of that margin that it's hurting the overall performance, right?
all right. And we're gonna get more into this because we're gonna talk about how to attack the various things, but first things first, on the problem side, they're gonna evaluate, on the previous week objectives, like, was it a hit or a miss? What happened? Like, why was it a miss or why was it a hit? And then, set new weekly goals, and then, the actions and behaviors, you've got to give them very specific things to do that are in service of that goal. Like if their close rate is, they want to bump their close rate up by 5%. Okay, that's a great goal, but you got to help them, with how they're going to do that. That's the most important part about it. Like Josh mentioned, like maybe it's the small jobs or maybe it's follow-up. You shred proposals with them and maybe they're including $900 for freight on every quote. And there's all kinds of fat in the quote that really doesn't need to be there. So whatever you decide to do, but you want to give them very specific things that they have control over. Like maybe it's as simple as make a setup call, on all your appointments, because that's going to help with close rate. So the actions and behaviors got to be, behaviorally, based and in service of that goal. That's the key. All right. So what are some actions or behaviors that are in service of close rate? So you have a DA that's struggling with close rate. What are some things that will help them that they have total control over? Follow-up, big one, right? And part of that follow-up is to shred those proposals. Are they going into a home advisor lead where a guy's flipping the house and this wants a basic floor? Are they leading with Lamberton and artistry, or are they trying to be competitive and starting with using Stockman or a lower end product? We got to
So
give
like
them a
the
reason.
the sales strategy and
Yes,
pricing strategy.
exactly. And the fun,
Trying to leverage those closing tools, financing, and then exploring that, it's like, look, are you comfortable even talking? Like, are you familiar enough to be comfortable to talk through financing with somebody, and then go through that process too? Because, especially if you don't do it often. Like for me, I know that it was hard for me to really commit to doing a lot of financing because I wasn't doing it real often. So like, I don't look like an idiot in front of the client, because I'm like,
Yeah.
okay, I'm like fumbling through the forms here because I've only done it, like I only did it once last month and once the month before that, right? But just I guess trying to probably explore some of those, like what are the tools that are really untapped, the tools and behaviors.
Absolutely, man. Couldn't have said it better myself. In fact, finance has come up quite a few times this week, Grant.
Yep. It's in the
Yeah.
air for sure.
Yeah, especially with like, I don't want to get off on a rabbit hole on that, but all right. So, what if it's proposals per week that you're working on with your DA? What are some things they can do?
Networking.
Networking, connect
Bingo.
marketing, or maybe even as simple as we had a DA on a call yesterday who really built great rapport with the customer, and I asked him, "Have you ever asked for a referral?" And he's like, "No." Why not ask the customer for referrals if they're happy with you and they give you a great review? You've earned the right to ask. So
Okay, I see your Santa.
on the connect, look on the networking, it's a very common one, and a lot of you have a new DA, Christina. I mean, part of your ride-alongs, are you taking them on, like networking events, like a realtor's office? Are you going to BNI with them, stuff like that, as part of?
He's already joined a new BNI, and we got a lot of networking tips and ideas, like B2B stuff from the Cleveland meeting. And
Oh
we're
yeah,
starting to incorporate those. Like we created some flyers. We have like our target market list. And then we're also putting together just a referral partner one pager for when we land deals to
Okay.
help strengthen that network.
that's awesome. On the Cleveland thing, like what vertical are you going after? Is it assisted living, or are you doing something else?
So we have like B2B2B, like assisted living. That's one that we're going after. And then the B2B2C, we're looking at like a JC Lit, which is like a paint and kind of home improvement type store. They sell blinds. So they're more our focus on B2B2C right now. And then then one that goes B2B2B and B2B2C is building management companies. So we have a lot, property management. We have a lot of high rises in our territory.
That's right,
So those are the
downtown
focus right
Chicago. Yeah. So are you using their methodology, like, every 2 weeks for 6 weeks and all that stuff? Are you doing all that?
That's the plan.
Yeah. All right. What about average job size? That's kind of a nebulous thing. If someone is, is landing well, but they're landing smaller jobs, what are some behaviors you could like talk
I
about
love
with your DA?
expanding scope.
Expanding
I was
scope.
we were at an appointment today, and we're looking at tile floor in their kitchen. She's like, "Oh, I just don't know what I'm gonna do for my backsplash yet." I was like, "Great, guess what? We do backsplashes."
Yeah.
And then I was able to talk about, she thought she might want hardwood in the kitchen, but she hates the color of her current hardwood. I'm like, we do, sand and finish, because a lot of people think that you just do what they brought you in for. You just do carpet, or you just do tile.
That's great. And so you're asking those questions while you're in there. That's good. And then what are,
Joe, there's one more thing,
yeah, what's that?
financing.
Nope, that moves the needle on job size.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
you could get a sweeter product.
Who sells rugs around here? Any of you guys sell rugs? Like you're doing a hard surface call. Are you recommending rugs in any way?
Yeah, I've started to. I play around with selling them a rug, or like doing a custom cut rug from the Shaw Cut a Rug program. sometimes I'll say, hey, look, like, if you want to go ahead and move forward, I'll tell you what, I'll throw in a 9x12 sweet rug for you, because you're gonna want a rug for this hardwood floor anyway, or whatever. So it might be a sale, or it might be like a kind of a gift.
Okay.
Or like, I did not do that for you. You're
Did you do it for
connected to the
Tom?
business.
Did you
No,
give Tom a
Nate's over
rug?
here. Like we did Nate's hardwood at his house. He's like, hang on, I didn't get a free rug.
All right, so that's kind of what you're looking to do in this problem solving thing, So if these are the opportunities, like you want to really give them bullet points, things they can execute and have control over that are going to be in service of these goals here, All right. All right, so another part of the form here are the objectives. Okay, so this is part of their prep. Like they're going to fill in these weekly objectives, and then like the action steps. Hopefully, like they're putting in some action steps in here too. But we just talked about some of the action steps. Offer financing or BNI groups. Stuff like that that are going to or finance. I already said financing, but like so this is the goal. But what are you going to do to get to that goal? This is the most important part of it. And then next week, they're just going to copy and paste these in this section here, and it's going to be a hit or a miss. They're going to review that. Well, my close rate, was 37%. It was a hit. What really helped? Well, I used financing, and I landed 2 jobs that I probably wouldn't have gotten, or I did follow up, et cetera. So that's the kind of conversation that you want to have. Okay. We talked about SMART goals here. Everybody remember what the acronym stands for in SMART? Anyone? All right, I'll give you the answers here. Oh,
It's a little teaser.
yeah. So that was a SMART goal. Shared, measurable, actionable, realistic, and time sensitive. Just kind of use that as your guide when they're setting goals and when you're setting them with them. All right.
Is that a triptych image
Yeah.
from the 1980s?
Yeah.
Like-
See, you could just take I-40 straight through and save yourself some time. That's a smarter way to go. You know what I'm saying? Yeah.
Unless
And,
they're barrels.
Okay, wait for it. This is my favorite slide right here, Christina. Here it comes. Wait for it. Wait for it. Boom. All right.
So you showed this last time,
I know.
and I'm so confused. Do
All right.
people eat elephants?
Yeah, one bite at a time we do. All right.
You do.
No,
People in the South or Pennsylvania, where like what?
It's
this just doesn't
hypothetical.
happen. It throws.
it's hypothetical, Christina. Like if you were to eat an elephant, you'd want to eat it one bite at a time. Okay.
And not.
You couldn't eat
starting
the
at
whole thing at
toenails.
once. All right. All right, let's get off this slide. Okay, so tools of the trade here. We're going to go through all these tools here real quick. GSNR template. We're going to look at Power BI, and I'm going to show you some of the reports that are in there for DAs in case you haven't seen them. And then the income/mobile showroom calculator for the DAs, and then some marketing benchmarks that you can share with your DAs. Okay. So let me start with sorry here. Zoom gymnastics and all. Let me start with the okay. So we talked about last week the business plan. We went through these tabs right here, like the introspection, the example. Well, this next tab here is an income calculator. Okay. This is a great tool. Now, all right, so you just put in the time frame that you're looking at with your DA, and I just plug this in. I actually pick a DA's performance and plug it in here for the first half of the year. So this DA for the 6 months of 2023 had 120 proposals in those 6 months with a close rate of 25%, average job size of 5,500. Okay, so they're basically averaging 4.7 proposals a week. Okay. So like in the current state here, and it's what you're gonna show your DA. You're gonna put their performance in here, though. You know, they're on track to making $33,367 a year if they continue on this trend, okay? Let's say that they work on Connect and they can get 6 proposals a week, 1.3 more a week, okay? So you just plug in the 6. Now they're making 43,000. They just gave themselves a raise of $9,500 just by getting 1.3 proposals more a week. And close rate and job size remain the same, basically. So let's say they bump the job size up, say to 5,800, $300 more. They're selling rugs or they're using financing or whatever. Okay, that 300, let's say 500. Okay, so all that work to get the job size up to $500, you know, is basically going to result in a $3,000 raise annually. Okay, so now they're making. So let's say they take their close rate to 30%, a 5% bump in the second half. Well, that's going to give them, you know, $6,000 raise. So what's the biggest impact item for this DA? You know, you wouldn't think it, but it's proposals, you know? And when you do the math, you're going to see proposals is usually the biggest thing they can do for themselves is get more proposals. So this kind of lets you run through the math and do the what if hypothetical stuff with them and help them prioritize what's more important. You know, like they might be emotionally attached to this close rate because it's kind of low, but in reality, they need more proposals. And less than 1.5 proposals a week more is going to make the biggest difference for them. And then if they do them all, okay, now they're making 56, you know, and a $22,000 increase over the status quo. Okay, so use this with them when you're trying to identify what the biggest priorities are. You know, like if they think it's like close rate and it's really proposals, you can show them this here. You know, like what's going to make what the biggest return on their energy is, right, Grant?
That's right.
All right, so, all right, and then so like all this stuff is in one place, like the business plan, this calculator. Now we got the GSNR here, which we kind of looked at earlier, but you know, this is the form right here. And I like having this all in one place because like you can always refer back to, you know, like their VTOs or the business plan or whatever you're working on here. You know, so we kind of talked about the objectives already and, you know, and the rocks and the VTOs, but it's, you know, it's all right here. And then I like this little tab here, this moneymaker tab. You know, have them keep a hot list of jobs that, you know, they think they can get. And then you kind of help them, you know, shred their proposals, give them a reason to go back to the customer. Maybe it's a new sample, or maybe it's a new product coming out, or maybe you look at their proposal and they have, you know, all this excess stuff in there that you can trim out and get more competitive. So like have them talk through what's going on with these customers. Then you got, you know, strategic partners, like who did you visit last week? Who are you working with now? You know, just kind of talk about, you know, all these things weekly, especially this Connect piece right here. And it's all like linked together. Okay. Any questions on any of this? It's all pretty straightforward. You guys have this, right? This business plan, a tool thing?
I think you sent it last week.
Yeah, I did send it. Okay.
Or
All
last
right.
meeting.
And then let's look at Power BI real quick here. All right, so I've got Mike Conrad, our DA in Louisville here. All right, so in Q2, this is his performance to plan here. Okay, so he's a little short on the landed, and he's very short on the proposals. So your DA is going to have access to this. They just go right into Power BI, DA versus plan, and they can change the time frame and really see what they're doing, and where they stand to plan end of last year as they cycle the full year. And so make sure that you show them how to use hopefully your DA wants to know their numbers. It's part of being a salesperson is like you keep score. So this is the scoreboard right here. Has anyone used this yet or seen it before?
The
No,
DA specific one or just Power BI in general?
like the DA aspects to Power BI. All right, get familiarized.
Mine
especially
hasn't
now that-
started selling yet.
Yeah, so you can load their plan. Once you build that plan, we're gonna load it in here and it'll show up and they can look at their plan on whatever time period like you want to see it at. It's gonna prorate it. All right, so another one to look at here is your MIS report here. This is Mike Conrad's branch is Charles St. Clair. So this will break down how the branch is doing up top here. And also how each DA is doing. I'll kind of line list it. Not really comparing it to plan, but all the stats on everybody basically. And it's rolled up to the top number. And that's just the MIS report here. And I like my favorite one here on the lead source. This is Mike's breakdown on leads. Okay, so he has 64 proposals in the quarter. 52 are digital and 8 are in the Connect bucket. Okay, so look at his stats on Connect. So his close rate 75%, his job size is 6,700. His revenue per proposal is over $5,000 on Connect. So this will help you make him want more Connect, make him want to go out and do those things. Because, what's kind of ironic here is, it's about 11% of his proposals, but it's about 33% of his, or 30% of his revenue is coming off those eight proposals. So would you rather run 3 PPA appointments and be brain dead at the end of the day, or maybe do some Connect marketing and the relationship building and see the benefits of that, And then you can break it down by DA here. There's the branch, and then, you can look at it however you want. What do y'all think about all this? All right, good.
It's good tool, Joe.
Yeah, thanks, Jim. All right.
I still
All
like
right,
that. I still like that elephant slide though.
Yeah, thank you. And I want to show you one last thing here. 4, 6. This was a slide that Stacy pulled up at one of our company-wide meetings. I like to show this because it's a great slide to show your DA. It basically breaks down all the buckets in the lead source. Like all your digital stuff's down here, your PPA and all that stuff. So network wide, our close rate on digital leads is 27%. Okay. The top tier, the top 25% franchises are at 33, but network wide is at 27. So when you look at Mike, he's pretty close to he's pretty close to the average here on the digital, but so maybe the answer is more Connect. You can only do so much with the digital. And like you can look at your branch and see where you're at, but like 27% is the average. The job size 6,500, $1,800 revenue per proposal. So It's pretty hard to make a living down here, okay? As you all know, and better than me. When you look at the referral buckets here and networking buckets, 61% close rate on the referral, 51% on the networking. Almost twice as good, and average job size, 8,300, 7,300. So it's much higher than all the digital. Revenue proposal is 4,600 versus 1,800. So show them this, and try and it'll help you get their buy-in on building the connect. And it's not just you telling them, I need you to show them why, explain why it's so important, because it's what makes it worth it. It's what makes it worth it. If you live down here, probably not going to be happy at the end of the year. You've got to have a well-balanced attack here. And this slide kind of helps you reinforce that. You can even pull up your branch, and show them there. Like, I'm pulling up Josh. That's right. It's not under your name. You're the junior partner, Josh. I forgot about that. All right. So in Q2, Josh, you wrote 79 proposals, and to your credit, like 28 came out of your Connect bucket. So you're leveraging like the digital like really well. You're at 33% close rate, a nice job size, $2,400 a proposal for the digital. So it's a good lead source for you, but as you know, it's not real consistent or reliable. Sometimes it's up, sometimes it's down. So building this Connect piece, 28 proposals, 50% close rate, $2,700 revenue per proposal in the Connect bucket. So you could show, not Nate, but like your new DA that you bring in, show them like your branch instead of like the global numbers. You can show them your branch as well. Any questions on anything? All right, so those are the tools of the trade to help you with the GSNRs. I mean, this business planning thing and the GSNR thing are probably the most important things you can do outside of ride-alongs with a new DA.
I think if I had to summarize just for, to quantify it quickly, in your GSNRs and in general conversations that you continue to have with your DA, be mindful of two things. Accountability, right? That's what all the measurables are for, so that you have something to hold accountability against and help them develop those data points so that what you're discussing is something that they had input in establishing, right? Then they're easy to hold them accountable to, and then make them actionable. So accountable and actionable, because that way, you're not just having a conversation to having a conversation. You have things that you can actually look back on, find out where you're stacking against them, and then takeaways from there. Or what can you do? What can your DA do? What can you as a branch do to create actionable tasks to go away and influence those in the most positive way you can? And that's the consistency of week over week. And just use that mindset, using all these tools. They're really powerful when you implement them consistently, not just once in a while. But if it becomes part of your inherent routine, then they don't view it as punishment when you're sitting down with a GSNR. They view it as opportunity to really grow and evolve. So
yeah, if you do them every week, it won't be longer than 40, 45 minutes. Yeah. If you're checking in consistently. It's when you wait a long time, it takes forever because no one knows how to do the prep, and then you gotta, enough said, I think. Anybody have any questions?
No, you guys are, I mean, it's right there. I love those tools that, it shows, everything, or where they're strong at, where they're, where it makes more sense financially to, like you said, to live. So
Yeah.
it's a lot of, instead of just telling them, you're showing them.
All right.
Thank you.
Well, it's been a pleasure working with you this afternoon. You all have a great day. I'm going to stop recording right now.
Now you can talk real.